Hi, I'm Frankie. Today, I would like to share with you how you can increase the accuracy of your training needs analysis survey results through the practice of knowledge management. Now, my sharing session will be divided into two key parts. Part 1, I will talk about what is the practice of knowledge management. And part 2, I will describe how the practice of knowledge management can contribute directly to increasing the accuracy of your training needs analysis survey results. So let's start with part 1. So what is the practice of knowledge management, or POKM, really all about? The answer: the practice of knowledge management is about, first of all, developing 8 highly focused capabilities. Second, enabled by knowledge tools. Third, to systematically manage critical knowledge. Fourth, leading to breakthrough performance. And of course, guided by an implementation action plan. Now, in the context of this working definition of the practice of knowledge management, this word knowledge includes 2 main components. Component number 1 is know what, and component number 2 is know how. Know what refers to what we know, what we understand, and know how refers to what we do, what we apply. And commonly, know-how is referred to as skills. Now, just now, in my working definition, I also mentioned this word 8 highly focused capabilities. And what are these focus? Firstly, it includes knowledge identification. Secondly, knowledge acquisition. Thirdly, knowledge application. Fourth, knowledge sharing. Fifth, knowledge development. Sixth, knowledge innovation. And 7, knowledge preservation. And of course, finally, knowledge measurement. For the purpose of today's sharing, I will concentrate on the first highly focused capability, and that is knowledge identification, and how the practice of self-driven, proactive knowledge identification can assist you to specifically enhance the accuracy of your training needs analysis survey results. And it goes like this. First of all, when an individual in the organization receives the performance goal, in other words, he is given a performance goal to achieve, the very first thing that he has to do is to ask himself 3 key questions. Question number 1: to achieve this performance goal, specifically, what knowledge do I require? Secondly, question number 2, he will then ask himself, actually, at this point in time, what is my existing knowledge level? And of course, if you take the required knowledge to minus the existing knowledge level, it will give rise to what we call as the knowledge gap. And that's precisely what is question number 3. Question 3 is, what is my knowledge gap? Now, this is very important. The establishment of the knowledge gap is extremely important to me. Why? Because I know if I have huge knowledge gap, then I will not be able to achieve my performance goal. But on the other hand, if I have small knowledge gap, it would therefore suggest I have adequate knowledge to enable me to achieve my performance goal. Therefore, essentially, the practice of knowledge identification is really about, first, establishing the specific knowledge gap, and secondly, identifying specific knowledge to address this gap, to close this gap, or for the matter, to address my specific knowledge deficiency, and to enable a person to implement the practice of knowledge identification very effectively. He can also use two knowledge tools, and these two knowledge tools are as follows. First, knowledge identification system, and then secondly, knowledge profiling. Now, let me move on to part 2 of my sharing session. Typically, when an employee receives the TNA Survey Questionnaire, his immediate reaction would be, I have a lot of work to do. I have a lot of deadlines to meet, a lot of work to rush. I do not have time to complete this training needs analysis survey questionnaire. After all, the way I see it, by providing information as required by this TNA survey questionnaire, is like assisting the learning and development unit of the human capital function to do their work. On my side, I have lots of things to do, and this really is not my priority. So bottom line, returning the form is the least of all my priorities. Now, this mindset is totally wrong, but this is exactly what happens in most cases. Finally, of course, after repeatedly chased by the learning and development unit or the training unit, the employee completes and returns the form to the training unit. Usually, what happens is this: they will go through filling the form as quickly as possible. At the same time, usually also not referring to their performance goals, to their key performance indicators. So because of that, obviously, when the learning and development unit receives all these forms over here, the information provided in these forms generally do not reflect the real knowledge needs of the employee. And this is very sad. This is really very unfortunate, because the learning and development unit is relying on this training needs analysis survey questionnaires to, firstly, prepare the next year's learning and development plan, to develop the next year's learning and development calendar, and of course, use this information to formulate the human capital development budget. And of course, based on this fairly inaccurate needs of the employee, it is no wonder that in many organizations, the training investment does not give rise to the desired impact, the desired results. However, on the other hand, if the employee practice knowledge identification, and to be very precise, practice self-driven and proactive knowledge identification, the whole scenario will be different. And what happens will be this. Number one, when they receive the form, the first thing they will do is, the initial reaction would be, well, I'm really appreciative. I really thank the L&D unit, for putting so much time, for putting so much efforts to assist me to determine my knowledge needs, to assist me to actually provide the opportunity for what? For me to identify the most relevant learning and development initiative to address my specific needs. What happens next? So the employee will quickly go through the performance goals he has to achieve next year. At the same time, including going through his quarterly target, his monthly target, even all his key performance indicators that is required of him to achieve. Now, after he has gone through and crystallized his performance focus, what happens? What happens next is, he will then, as I mentioned earlier on, ask himself the same three questions. And that is, firstly, in the context of wanting to achieve the performance goal, what is the required knowledge that I need? Number two, what is my existing knowledge level? Number three, be very specific, what is my real knowledge gap? Which means my real knowledge needs. So based on this, what he will do is, he will then look at the training needs analysis survey questionnaire that he has received. And he will very carefully identify the relevant learning and development initiative that he requires to assist him to address his specific knowledge needs. And so, of course, when the learning and development unit receive such completed form, he will be receiving fairly accurate, or for the matter even significantly accurate needs of the particular person. And basing on this, if you have to configure eventually next year's learning and development plan, learning development calendar, then surely the investment that the company puts in will of course provide or generate the desired outcome. So in conclusion, it is obvious that when employee practice knowledge identification to support the TNA survey process, then the company can expect to have a much higher level of accuracy when it comes to establishing the training needs analysis survey results. So, if you, for the matter, first of all, really have this interest to increase your training needs analysis survey results in terms of its accuracy, or number two, if you're interested to organize and facilitate relevant programs to drive performance, and of course thirdly, if you're interested to ensure that investment in training generate positive results, then I would like to strongly recommend you to attend, to participate in my half-day forum workshop entitled Initiating the Practice of Knowledge Management to Achieve Breakthrough Performance. Now this half-day forum workshop is designed for, firstly, the heads of company. Secondly, the heads of human capital, including senior human capital professionals that are responsible for staff training and talent development, especially if you are really focusing on ensuring that you are able to formulate and implement a performance-based training needs analysis survey for your organization. Now for your information, I facilitate this half-day forum workshop every week. Yes, 52 weeks in a year. And of course, I do look forward to you joining one of these 52 intakes in the very near future. With this is Frankie signing off. Cheers and bye-bye.